As a place to store some trail cutting tools on my property, I decided to build a mini pallet shed. As with almost all the projects on my property, I want to keep the cost down because we're saving to build a house. I also wanted to build a project that utilizes just pallets and no extra material or wood. The end product turned out to be pretty good, and I had a little extra help on this project. I started off with these gigantic industrial strength pallets that I got off Craigslist. I also enlisted the help of my brother and my 3-year-old son Davis to get the project done. Because I'm not buying any new wood to build this pallet shed, I need to knock some planks off of the pallets so that I can use it in the building process. You can't fully remove the slats with a hammer or you'll end up splitting them, but I've found if you loosen them just a little bit, it creates some space where you can use your sawzall and cut the nails from underneath. Although metal blades are nice, a general purpose sawzall blade seems to be just fine. Davis was excited to help remove the slat and to get on with the next step in the process. My brother and I then began experimenting with pallets, trying to figure out what orientation was going to work the best for us. We're trying to build this shed using just 3 pallets and that piece of wood that we knocked off of one of them. In the end, we decided to use 2 pallets to create an L-shaped wall and put the 3rd pallet on top to create a roof. The pallets seem to fit together pretty well, and as you can see are actually made of 2x4s and even larger pieces of wood. After the first couple of steps in this project were complete, my 3-year-old decided it was time for a break, and he and my wife shared a couple of turkey sandwiches before getting back to it. Davis decided he really liked the multicolored driver bits that I had, so he was put in charge of holding on to them and handing them when we needed it. We used 3-inch screws to attach the 2 pallets into the L-shaped wall. After that, we needed to put the roof in place. Davis was very enthusiastic in his willingness to help, but as a 3-year-old, he's probably not quite ready to lift it into place. We asked my brother to help and got everything where it needed to be. We used the piece of wood we knocked off one of the pallets to create sort of a 3rd leg and prevent the roof from sagging. This also helped give the pallet shed a lot of stability. After that, we secured the roof using the same 3-inch screws as before. These are screws that I already had, so technically I didn't buy anything new for the project. But if you don't have these, you can typically buy a box for about $8 or $9 at your local hardware store. Davis was happy to help by keeping hold of them and handing them to us as we needed them. Because pallets are not perfectly square, but rather rectangles, the roof didn't perfectly line up and left a little bit of a gap, but this wasn't much of a problem. We secured the 3rd leg in place, and we're just about ready to add the tarp. My wife was gracious enough to help us put the tarp on, as she is very good at wrapping Christmas presents. I didn't really know how the tarp was going to go on there and stay tight, so I'd let her and Davis figure this out. In the end, she really did wrap it almost like a Christmas present, and we used 550 cord to secure it to the pallets and bungee cords to make sure the door stayed shut. Of course, as soon as the tarp was in place, Davis wanted to go in the shed or the fort. Here he is helping my brother tie it down with 550 cord. While we were working, he also managed to find my brother's helmet and continued to wreak havoc as we were finishing the project. In the end, my trailer with all the tools on it fit perfectly, and when you put the bungee cord in place, the tarp stays really nice and tight. Technically, I did have to buy the tarp, so I guess I didn't make this just out of pallets. Ultimately, the shed is just a temporary shelter until I end up building a real pole barn on the property.